You hear that? Silence. There's nobody here. It's a Sunday and it's episode 99. We are in good form for finishing this. And I know I say that in every episode, but this is the episode that has to be finished on. Not really much to do, so let's get into it. Okay, the rat's nest still exists, but it's only because it's not really wrapped. Everything else is more or less run where it needs to be, except for two things. The side lights that run from the front and from the back to here splice in. Now, for me that means it's a bit of a nasty kind of route, and I don't have a great way of taping that up. So that's going to be point one. Point two, I've got 8 earths bolted into one bloody bolt. So that needs tidied as well. We need to find a proper earth point, something that's going to be out the way. We need to bolt down the fuse box. However, I could have easily done that because we did drill the holes, except the holes mean the fuse box hits against the bloody dash because it's me. And then last of all, we've got the cluster, which we have done some work to make some lights work, but I do have a question mark, which I said at the last episode, on how to make the warning lights work, which I think will get dialed out too. Once that goes into here, everything goes back on, we drive it. But is that maybe the reason why I am so reluctant? Am I in fact really quite scared to drive this? You probably can't blame me. I made the thing myself. And I'm not a smart man. What we're moving towards here, my valued viewer, is less of a loom that looks like this and more of a loom that looks like this. Nicely wrapped up with the fabric tape, routed properly, secured so it's not dangling about, and generally as little like a kit car as it can possibly be. One thing that really just puts me off kit cars is when it looks great from the outside and you just scratch even just a touch below the surface and you find just bodge work, just really bad looking things, and the quickest way to see that is to look at loom, and it's usually like this, just wrapped in insulating tape and not very nice. Good thing about fabric tape over insulating tape is it will allow a bit of movement, so it'll settle, it'll flex, it won't just turn into a gooey mess. That's why we're doing it. However, I am unstuck slightly when it comes to the loom, which this is, that goes to the front of the car with far too much excess, so we're going to trim that down and find a route for it. And the loom here, which goes to the back of the car. There are numerous tails which I've just disconnected from the M unit. Simple, right? You just shorten this down and plug it back in. No, because the loom that goes to the front of the car also splices in certain areas to the loom that goes to the back of the car, because the side lights, the indicators, things like that have to work front and back. So it needs the same wire feeding 2 bulbs. Now, the simple solution to that is just shorten it down and keep that connected, but that means that the loom that goes to the front and the loom that goes to the back is all one loom. So if you ever need to disconnect things and move around, you can't. So I think what I'm going to do is during the summary of this, and when we shorten it down, is change these crimps for a wee Deutsch plug. Now, as it stands, I think I only have 4 connections. So a Deutsch plug with 4 connections would actually work quite well. The only strange part to all of this is, it means we'll have a Deutsch plug here connecting the loom that goes into the back of the car, followed 6 inches later with another Deutsch plug which connects to the front. But it has to happen that way because there is still 1 or 2 things that comes out of that loom that has to go directly in there as well, such as the fog light and other things. So it's a necessary evil. It can be made to look good, but it needs to happen. So I have relabeled all of my wires with the various functions that they do, and then I'm going to trim it all down and one by one make it look neat. After that, we're moving on to the cluster because that cluster needs done. Right, I've pinned this out quite a bit, and to be quite honest, most of it is nonsense because it's no longer applicable. There are things in here such as ABS lights and seatbelt warning lights and all this sort of guff that's just irrelevant, right? I don't need it, I need to just ignore it and think about it later. So I'm not going to cut the wires just in case, because part of ignoring it is assuming the wires I've got are correct. But if I cut them all off and leave stumps and they're not, we're gonna have problems. So I'm gonna tidy it and just wrap it all up. So what I do have, and I've worked out, is my left hand indicator, my right hand indicator, and the fog light. The fog light, oddly enough, needs a positive and a negative for some reason, but the indicators just need the positive feed in and then it airs through the cluster, right, which is fine. So I'm going to put in a 3-pin Deutsch and use that wee splicey loom to intercept into the loom here. Ultimately, it'll be the front section of that loom because the indicators and the fogs live in that, and we'll just run it like that. That allows me to just plug this in and be done with it for a while. The only thing the question mark remains on is getting the Revy boy to work. Can't remember if that worked before or not, but there'll be a wire and we'll deal with that. But I just want to get the things on and get this finished, so let's do that. And then we can put it on and wrap it up for good. Finally. You'll all be super pleased to hear that the wiring is now done. As in, loom taped, run where it needs to be, sitting fully disconnectable, so everything has a plug, so if I need to take the dash off, I can just disconnect it all. Done. You guys might be pleased, but not as much as me, because my back is ruined from bending over all this. So, yeah. Let's get the scuttle back on, because I've got a funny feeling we're gonna have issues getting this to fit. Here's a little tools and track top tip. I've always been kind of worried about this job causing the leather to bunch up, twist and rip. So I've obviously been drilling it from the back, which has helped because by the time you poke through to the actual leather on the front, you'll see it poke and you go, whoa, stop. However, getting through the leather on the front, take a drill bit and wrap the flutes, because the flutes are actually the bit that do the grabbing and the twisting. Once the drill bit's through, it doesn't really do much more. So that has, as you can see, been saving my ass, although it does still grab some of the foam and bunch up. Takes a couple of runs because the flutes won't clear all of the fabric, but it does work. So you heard it here first, 2 bolts to go, and then we're done. Dash, done. Okay, this is getting really close. So all of the interior stuff is good enough for anger drive. We're going to call episode 100 anger drive, because it's obviously not going to be road legal. I don't know if I'm going to get a track day booked before I actually need to put an episode out, so we're going to just call this anger drive. All right, so in order to do anger drive, we are going to need to do the exhaust, which is now off because the bobbin's completely humped, and alternator. Speed run. I don't have anything left that I need to do. I've got things I want to do, but when you're building a car, you're doing things that you need to do. So by that logic, this car is built. Now this has been 99 episodes of glorified montages. You'll indulge me if I just have one more. In this series, we're building a car from scratch.
Yep. What can go wrong?
I have made a mistake somewhere. However, it's not pizza. I reckon that'll get us right the way through the IVA and more.
That's us without off to me space.
That you'd get to watch a fat ginger man doing arts and crafts. But here we are. Episode 15 to 20 is going to be passed on finger painting.
He's going through his midlife crisis, hence the turbocharged V8 TVR and the kit car and the motorbike that made an appearance for a while. Just humour him and give him a bovril and he'll be happy.
I'm going to get piles!
What happens if it pishes down and the car gets like a puddle on it?
Oh.
Right.
Mate. Well, obviously I'm doing this. So it's going to happen.
That's about as high as we're going to take it.
Ooh. And if anyone's worried about that being like particularly high looking, this is just the beginning. What's it doing? Oh, aye. Right, sorry. I just weld it. Oh! That's not coming off.
Yeah, we kind of forgot brake line. We kind of need brake line.
Once that's done, we'll take these off.
An alphabetical consonant clamp.
Chips with cheese on it.
Does cheese have any do you believe in vitamins?
This does not make me look slim.
I'm not a small man.
Don't worry, we've got plenty of things we need to do first. I'm dragging this out for a full 20 minutes.
Good, isn't it? I think it's really catchy. I think it's really good.
And with some luck, the geometry will be right. This has been a very, very long journey. For context, I'm 2 months away from this taking me 5 years. And yeah, you can build a car quicker, but I've shared this journey with you guys, which is added a bit of time. I've also made some mistakes, which has added further time. And I've spent the time to make sure certain things in it are done correctly, which has added even more time still. And I've grown 5 years older in that time as well. But I can finally say this car has now been built. 99 episodes in, this is how you build a low-cost 7. And it's done. Oh, I forgot to fit the fucking wideband.